stand-up comedy, relying on old material. You know, I love stand-up comedy. I'm a comedian. I'm a professional, and I'm always trying to work harder. I'm always trying to work better. And I have a lot of different metrics personally, which I'm not going to get into, to make sure that I'm always hitting my numbers statistically, because I'm a big mathematician in addition to being a nerd. But you know, it is one of the most vulnerable things to essentially be trying a new joke, a new idea, a new concept, right? And trying to make it work with complete random strangers. And you're really just hoping you get an emotional response off of them. And on top of that, if you're on stage and you know it works for other people, if it doesn't start working, you kind of want to just abandon that and go back to old stuff that you know has worked for everybody. I love it. I love the vulnerability. I love the possibilities, and I love stand-up comedy. You know, when when you're doing stand-up comedy, and if you're not interested in this, of course you can stop listening. But this is from the different kind of perspective that you probably don't ever hear. But anyway, if you love stand-up comedy, when you look at a finished product, and you think, "Wow, that's really good." That's based off of a lot of testing and a lot of vetting. Most people think that you could just sit down and write an hour of verbal conversation, and different stories and stuff, and then just make it be successful. But that's anything further than the truth, because every one line essentially has to be leading up to a big, strong joke punchline at the end, or it has to be many small jokes. I explained to somebody the other day, I look at stand-up comedy in a lot of ways as kind of like a fight, like a boxing match. And the smaller jokes are more like jabs. And the big punchlines at the end, they're they're like the uppercut or the straight or the hooks, like the power shots. You know what I mean? And that's when you essentially go for like the knockdown. That's when you really just try to like destroy the whole crowd and make everybody laugh. Um, I had an experience recently where I did. It was a show, well, regardless of where it was, but um, I did vetted material that I knew that worked, and the first 1 minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, they just they just didn't think it was funny. Now, again, not to say that it wasn't funny, but what do you do in a situation like that? If a client pays you, okay, to do a show and you have an act, okay, if they don't like it, you just keep going. You just keep going. And even hearing that, even hearing that sounds very counterproductive. Like, whoa, why don't you just do older stuff? The reason why is because maybe they don't like the first 5 minutes, but maybe they'll start to really love it minute six. And that's exactly what happened. I was with a client. It was a corporate party. It was a corporate show, and in the first 5 minutes, everyone just looking at me like, "Is this guy really the comedian? Like, this is like the least funny guy I've ever heard." And when I hit minute six, it just dropped like a hammer, and then it was a great show after that. But I'm telling you, it's just from the stand up of being on stage. Um, and I've actually done that before. I've actually reverted to older material, thinking it was a good idea. That's a naive, rookie, short uh, minded decision to make, because when you do something like that, you don't evolve. Okay, you don't get better, and you haven't given the rest of your material an opportunity. Now, on a more technical side, that's with me doing 1 hour of stand up comedy. If it was 10 minutes, if it was only like a 10-minute show, okay, which there's 15, 30 minutes, 20, whatever, you know, duration the client wants to book you for. Um, you can make that adjustment, but I would only make adjustments hypothetically. Um, if you only had like I would say only 10 minutes, 15 minutes max to make adjustments. If I only had 15 minutes total for the entire show that I'm there for, and they don't like it when the first few minutes, and I know it's going to be more of that type of material. I might just go to the next set, the next block of information, and if they are still not tracking on that, because I know that'll take me to minute 10 or 15 pretty quick, then I'll do some older stuff. I have so much different material. I've been writing for like 12 years, and that is one of the worst things about I told someone that's like a good positive frustration to have is I have so much material. I won't ever have enough time to say it all on stage. When I get off on stage, I still got other cool stories that I know people would love that they haven't heard. So I feel like it's like an unsung audience. So that's actually the next episode that I'll do. But I just really wanted to hit on this because it's just a really fun, interesting dynamic to think about. When you're doing a job, if it looks like it's failing, to press ahead as opposed to counter thinking, changing course. So sometimes it just takes a little while for a plan to get working, but once it does, it's magic. So anyway, thank you for your time. I apologize for not. I try to have this always out by every Sunday, and I didn't because I just had too many things going on, and that's no excuse. So I will be more consistent. So thank you again for your time. I'm Ben Joel Dunn. Check me out. Peace.